Live from KTVN Reno, you're watching 2 News at 5:30.
There's more than enough water in the snowpack to fill everything.
No surprise here. A wet winter in the Sierra continues. Safe to say our lakes and reservoirs are set for summer. And that is our 2 News big story at 5:30. Glad you can be with us. I'm Kristen Remington. Landon is off tonight. This year's snowpack numbers are expected to finish between 165 to 195% of average. Paul Nelson shows us how this year's snowpack will affect our lakes and reservoirs as the weather gets even warmer.
Water spilling out of Lake Tahoe at a pretty fast pace, more than 1,100 cubic feet per second. There's only a little more than a foot of space left in the lake, so the goal is to make room for the snow melt still to come.
We have significantly more water coming into the lake than we have room for, and that's pretty much the same with all the reservoirs. So we're passing water through not just Tahoe, but water through Prosser, Boca, Stampede also.
Blanchard says the snow is usually melting by now, but that's not the case this year. The late runoff means the lakes and reservoirs will fill up later. In fact, Lake Tahoe might not peak until August.
One of the things that it'll affect is that carryover next fall. The later we peak, the less evaporation and losses we have to deal with, especially at Lake Tahoe before the fall.
Another unusual factor is the amount of snow still in the lower elevations for this time of the year. The chance for more precipitation also makes it harder to forecast how much spring runoff we'll get.
There's a lot of surface area covered by low snow that we typically don't have contributing once we get into April and the melt. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
It's springtime, but it still feels like winter up here at Boca Reservoir. The water's frozen over and the levels are low because it's still being used as flood control. That'll change as we get closer to summer when the Army Corps of Engineers gives the green light to start using it to store water.
We will fill those reservoirs much later than normal because of the snowpack.
Blanchard says storage operations usually start April 10th and the reservoirs are full by May 20th, but not with this much snowpack.
The Corps of Engineers criteria delays that filling schedule so we don't have the reservoirs full and still have a substantial snowpack sitting up there.
Nevertheless, our reservoirs are all expected to fill up except Boca. That's because of construction happening at the dam. Covering the big story, Paul Nelson, 2 News.
The National Weather Service says snowmelt flooding on the Truckee River is unlikely, but flood-prone areas along the Carson and Walker rivers could see some minor flooding. All right, more